This is a Ben Frank Connection presentation.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in this world, and welcome to the Post Dynamite show. Today I am by myself as Stephen is unfortunately unavailable and ABJ is not feeling the best, so I am here by myself. I appreciate everyone that's coming in to watch. If you're here for the first time, my name is Raz. I live in Australia and I generally do this show every Wednesday or Thursday for us here in Australia, Wednesday for you guys in America or the UK. Basically, it's a brief rundown of AEW and what we watched on tonight's episode of AEW. There's a lot to go through, but I won't stick around too long in regards to saying exactly what I feel on every segment of the show. I'll just run over bits and pieces. Hello to Courtney in the chat. Thank you for showing up. It's really appreciated. I know it's late and I know that you guys don't always or can't always stay up, but I really do appreciate you all being here. Tonight we had a special Dynamite. We had it as Dynamite and Rampage together. It wasn't just Dynamite. It was both shows. So it was 3 hours of AEW. We started off the show with TK doing a video feed from Jacksonville, Florida, which then gets interrupted by the EVPs, and they bring up that they can't be, or they haven't been fired, and they can't be fired due to a founder's clause in their contract, making it an ironclad contract. Thoughts on this it was good to play on what they were doing from last week with regards to the neck injury and the continuation of that story. I think that the Young Bucks have definitely improved their characters overall. I think that it's one thing that we have seen over the past few weeks / months is that the Elite or the Young Bucks were hated, but have started to come into their own as a heel group and have started to not be so much hated, but more acknowledged as playing the heels rather than the just the bad guys of the group or of the federation, and not federation of the company, and not just the go away heat sort of thing. They gave us also a new show opening, which showcases mainly the Elite and Jack Perry, which I don't think is going to be a permanent thing. I think it's just a tease for the continuation of the angle with Tony Khan and the injury that they have going ahead. After that, we get Swerve coming out to the ring, and he is basically calling out the Bucks and whoever his challenger is going to be for the title at Double or Nothing. The Young Bucks interrupt and announce that they heard what he had to say last week on Collision and Rampage, and that at Double or Nothing, Swerve will face the returning Christian Cage. Christian Cage comes out to the ring, and basically Christian and the family attack Swerve Strickland. Christian announces that he knows Swerve, and he was obviously disappointed with Swerve in the loss at All In. And that he's coming, that he's going to take the belt, and he acknowledges Swerve's kid as well. And obviously we're going to get something built up from there in regards to Swerve and Christian. I think having Christian as a challenger is a good move, because it gives you someone who's on that bigger end of the spectrum. It's someone who has had history in the company and has a bit of star power behind them. I think it's great because you allow Swerve to work with different sorts of talent, and you now have him being able to work another style with a guy who knows how to work pretty much every style in this industry. Hi Kai, thank you for showing up. It's really appreciated. As you can see, Courtney says hello as well. We then go to a video package of Adam Copeland and the House of Black. And then we get Adam Copeland making his entrance for the TNT title match tonight. It was assumed that it was going to be Malachi Black, but it turns out that it was Buddy Matthews that was the challenger for the title. I think it was brought up in ABJ's stream that we believe it's going to be Copeland going through the House of Black to get to Malachi and face him at Double or Nothing for the belt. I think that that's probably going to be the case. I think that it's a smart move as well, because it gives Malachi a chance to build a singles feud while maintaining the faction, and while still maintaining that they are still involved with the company. This match was really a solid match, definitely a sort of WWE style, because obviously both guys have been worked in WWE before. Copeland ends up getting the win via a spear. After the match, Copeland attacks Buddy and then goes out of the ring to grab 2 chairs. He comes back into the ring, lays one chair under Buddy's head. As he lifts the chair above his head, lights go out. Lights come back on. Malachi's standing in the ring next to Copeland and tells Copeland to do it, to basically to hit Buddy with the concerto. My thoughts on this was it was very play into the mist sort of thing and let the hate flow through you. If you want to go to a Star Wars reference, it was the let the hate flow through you, let it corrupt you, and basically become the bad guy that we know you are, or that you're going to turn into because of the mist. The lights go back out, and then Buddy and Malachi are gone, and Copeland is left in the ring by himself with the chairs, confused. We get to our second match of the night, which was Samoa Joe versus Isaiah Cassidy. Everybody expected this to be a super squash match, which It wasn't a super squash. It was a squash, but it was definitely not a super squash. The crowd was chanting, "Joe's going to kill you." Isaiah Cassidy steals Joe's towel, and at one point, Joe was outside the ring. Uh, Isaiah goes to do a suicide dive, and Joe does the walk away. uh, and Isaiah lands on his ass on the outside. Um, Joe ends up winning that match via a muscle buster and stares directly into the camera. Good showing for Joe. Good to see Isaiah Cassidy get a bit of offense here as well. It wasn't just I'm going to destroy this guy and pin him 1, 2, 3. It was a little bit of back and forth, not too much. It gave Isaiah Cassidy that little bit of offense, and definitely gave us a squash match, though not a super squash. We next had a Sky Blue video package, which Sky Blue requested to face, or basically talks about her and Willow's friendship, then requests to face Willow on Rampage. We move on to Orange Cassidy coming out. He says that he thought when Trent and Chuck had their fight in the parking lot this past weekend, that after that they'd come back together and it would all be sorted, that everything would be, that they'd be best friends again. They would all be back together doing doing what they do best. He then turns around and says he's got a phone call from the doctor saying that Orange Cassidy, or that Chuck Taylor will never wrestle again. Goes to call out Trent Beretta. Trent comes out and Orange Cassidy goes to hunt him down at the top of the ramp. The security come out, so does Chris Statlander. And the security try to stop Orange from getting involved in a fight. And then we get Don Callis coming out and whispering a few things to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy ends up leaving with Don Callis. Are we beginning to see a change in Cassidy? Are we going to see him join the Don Callis family? I don't know. I think that Orange Cassidy needs something. Like, he's a great character. I think that you might be right. Alex, looks like Don Callis got another person that Will Ospreay will beat. Also, hi Jake, thank you for showing up as well. It's really appreciated. I think you might be right here, Alex. Don Callis recruiting for another person. I don't know if it is right to have Cassidy there, Orange Cassidy, but I don't. But at the same time, I think it's also someone who, it's definitely going to be something that's going to put a little bit of intrigue into Cassidy's character. Guess we find out in the coming weeks. We move on to Renee backstage with the EVPs. They turn up and say that they've had way too much screen time, and decide that they're going to give Jack Perry some screen time. Jack Perry comes along. Oh, hello, DM. Sorry, I didn't see you there. My bad. Jack Perry comes along, basically says he meant what he said last week with regards to making AEW, like he wanted what's best for AEW. But Tony Khan basically called Tony Khan a bitch, and that the Elite is where it's at, and that the Elite is going to change the world. After that, we have Jericho versus Shibata in a FTW title match. I hate this. I'm not a fan of this Jericho. I understand it. I understand it's a new development for Jericho and it's a new change of character. I think it's the whole narcissist style of he doesn't care that the fans have turned on him. He is playing the character that he is the guy who everybody loves. And I feel like I'm not a fan of it. As I've said many times over the past few weeks, I feel Jericho just needs to take some time off, or give us a chance to miss him. I'm kind of hoping that it does go that way, like after he loses um, all his, like after he does lose the FTW title. I hope that he actually does go away for a bit. I think that we're going to build to a potential return of Hook to take the belt back off him. Alex says it feels like a mix of all his characters. You're kind of not wrong. You're kind of not wrong. Um, and yes, he does not rock the speedo style wrestling gear. That does not look good. Courtney wants Jericho off her TV. I can 100% agree with you there, Courtney. um, get him off. Get him off. Love you too, ABJ. Thank you for stopping by. I know that you're not feeling the best. Hopefully, you'll feel a bit better later on, or in the next few days. Just take some time to heal up and just chill out and relax and try and get yourself into a better place. You know, I got your back if you need me, buddy. Jericho and Shibata was a fun match, though. Like, we got a bag of hockey pucks being used. Shibata gets trapped inside a trash can, stands up, and then like Jericho's attacking him with a kendo stick in the in the trash can. He headbutts Shibata headbutts Jericho while wearing that trash can. I loved the fact that we had the sit down segment with the kendo sticks and Jericho and Shibata beating each other up with it. I thought, you know what, for a Jericho match, it was pretty fun. Keep to pants or even go to jorts since he loves everything invisible like his AEW fan base. Yes, yes. Also, good evening, Brandon. Thank you for joining us on the show. It's great to have you here. I did predict earlier in the match. I said on ABJ's stream that that Big Bill would get involved, and Big Bill did get involved. He ends up putting Shibata through a table, and that's how Jericho gets the win. Clearly, this is leading to Jericho and Big Bill teaming up. I think that I've not ever really been a fan of Big Bill or Big Cass, whatever the hell you want to call him. I think the only time he was ever really relevant was when he was with Enzo. I don't think his run in AEW has been fantastic. I don't think it's helpful that he's a heel, because he's not, like, as a heel, I don't think he works. I think he's better as a face, but he needs that offsider who can balance him properly. Like Enzo, even Ricky Starks can balance him. I think it would be, yeah, Jericho's a heel trying to be a face, and I think that we do eventually get something that points to that later tonight on Rampage, which I'll get to as well, because I am going to cover Rampage considering it was the 3 hour. Jericho's going to cut his hair and start spelling SAWFT. Soft. Let's hope not. Let's hope that Jericho does not start doing that, because that would be a problem. After that match, we get Renee backstage with Willow. Chris Statlander apologizes to Willow for the fact that Mercedes slapped her. She said she was just trying to get Mercedes to calm down. Willow addresses Sky Blue and then agrees to take on Sky Blue on Rampage with the TBS title on the line. The Young Bucks end up, or Stokely ends up talking about the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks end up getting a phone handed to Renee and turn around and tells Stokely and Statlander are barred from ringside during the match on Rampage. We then move on to Claudio versus Brian Cage. We also saw a bit of a video package from after Collision where Claudio was talking about how he hasn't been classed as the best. He's been the guy he needs to be, the wrestler that he needs to be, not the best for him. He's the wrestler he needs to be. I think we're starting to see once again a change in Claudio's character. We're going to see more pushing of Claudio. We're going to get a bit more dynamic. It was a big swing for Claudio once again. The match misses another shot at winning in AEW. Claudio ends up winning this match after the big swing. Where the fuck am I? Oh, no. Claudio wins via a submission. Sorry, not a. He wins via the sharpshooter or the scorpion deathlock, whatever you want to call it. But you're right. The Machine Brian Cage does lose again here, which sucks because Brian Cage is another great one in the ring, in and outside of the ring. We then go once again backstage to Renee. She's with Rocky Romero. He basically says that he's looking out for himself. He wants to start winning titles. And that he challenges Kyle O'Reilly for Rampage. Not going to complain. Kyle O'Reilly versus Rocky Romero had the potential to be a good match. We'll get into that when it gets to the Rampage section of things. We then go to the main event match of the evening, which was Mariah May versus Serena Deeb. Solid match. It was actually really well put together. Serena Deeb needs to focus on getting over with the fans, or at least having some charisma there. That's the problem. She doesn't have the charisma that the fans accept, and but she's a great talent in the ring. I think she has a really, really strong work ethic and is really, really good in the ring. I just think she needs to get that charisma behind her and build the character rather than just being the dojo queen and the leader of a dojo sort of thing. Actually give her some character, give her some strength behind her character. Tony Storm ends up throwing the towel in and costing Mariah May the match. It then gets announced that we get Tony Storm and Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's World Title at Double or Nothing. We then go backstage one more time for Adam Copeland with Renee. Copeland is talking about that, like the beating Buddy Matthews and all that sort of stuff. And hello to Red Bonnie Bloody. Thank you for joining us. It's really appreciated. Kyle O'Reilly interrupts and he's eyeing off the TNT title. So I think at some point we're going to get a Copeland versus Kyle O'Reilly match for the TNT title, which I do definitely look forward to seeing. I am definitely one of the ones that wants to see that match because it's Copeland with a younger guy, someone who has done the WWE style, but has also built his name on the independent scene. We come back to end the night for Dynamite with Justin Roberts in the ring getting ready to announce, and he does his rundown of Kenny Omega, and we get the return of the best bout machine, the cleaner, Kenny Omega. The crowd is chanting "Welcome home." Kenny gets on the microphone. Kenny's in a suit, mind you. Kenny gets on the microphone. He talks about his diverticulitis, how he would have been like if he basically is. He could potentially get like if he gets hit like in the stomach, he could potentially die or end up having to have the surgery without like he may wake up in the hospital just because of it. Diverticulitis is no joke. Brock Lesnar's had it. Kenny Omega's had it. I've had it. Or Kenny Omega has it, I should say. It's no joke. It's something that you need to get looked into. He ends up calling Matthew and Nicholas two shitbags. We then and basically says that he is still an EVP. He may have been fired from the Elite, but he's still an EVP, so he still has power. Okada comes out to confront Kenny. They get into the Okada gets into the ring. Basically, Okada says, or Kenny says that he wants to tells Okada, give me a few months, we'll settle this in the ring. Okada turns around to Omega and says, I'm the best bout machine. And then Jack Perry attacks Kenny Omega from behind. In that, we get then Kenny hitting the Dragon Suplex on Jack Perry. He goes to hit the knee, like he goes to hit the knee in the ropes, but as he does, Okada grabs his leg. He goes to kick Okada, and then Jack Perry hits Omega in the midsection with a chair. The EVP's coming out pretending to be concerned and like to obviously fake it out again. They hit an EVP trigger on Kenny, and we get Kenny Omega being taken down by the Elite. Surprisingly, here we get the FTR out to make the save. I appreciate that, Courtney. It is awkward doing it by yourself. I'm sure you're aware of it. I know you've done shows by yourself, but I really do appreciate everyone being here. So ending the show of Dynamite, we have FTR making the save. The Young Bucks or the Elite leave the stage area and go backstage. We end up end the show with Kenny being laid out on the ring. We then move straight on to Rampage because Rampage is live tonight, straight after Dynamite. Kenny gets put onto a stretcher in the opening of Rampage, and he gets stretchered backstage as he with the Young Bucks, not with the Young Bucks, with FTR making sure he's okay. The Elite end up attacking FTR backstage, and the Elite also tip Kenny off the stretcher before he can get put into an ambulance. Clearly, we are building to Kenny coming back. Obviously, Kenny can take bumps somewhat. Obviously, Kenny is pretty much almost ready. I think that this is going to be something that has a big potential to be a really good feud for Kenny and the Young Bucks to sink their teeth into. I think it's something that gives AEW that bit of difference as well, because yes, you've got the power dynamics, but you've also got a power dynamic where one of the guys that's in the feud doesn't want to abuse his EVP power, sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from there. I look forward to it because I always like Kenny Omega. I loved the matches with him and Okada back in Japan and back at Forbidden Door and stuff like that. Um, Kenny Kenny versus Okada any day of the week is a banger. Um, so uh, when Kenny said that he wanted a few months, I was really, really freaking hoping that it's going to be the potential of um, All In, because if I get to see that match live at All In, I am going to absolutely lose my mind. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada in London, in Wembley Stadium, will be freaking amazing. So we get to our first match of Rampage, which turns out to be Dante Martin versus Jay White. Jay White ends up winning the match with a Blade Runner. As after the match ends, Jay White helps Dante Martin up off the mat, but then ends up DDTing Dante Martin. We then go to the backstage where Diana Perazzo talks about attacking Thunder Rosa, says that she's a Jersey girl and that hopefully you never have to deal with a pissed off Jersey girl. And basically that she's sick and tired of Thunder Rosa being a pain in the ass. We also get a video package of Rush or Rush, whatever the hell you want to call him, basically saying he was the best in Mexico and now he's the black sheep of Mexico, and now he's coming back to AEW to put people on notice. Apparently, he's back on Collision. He was on Collision last week. I don't know. I didn't actually get to watch Collision, unfortunately. We then go backstage once again where Renee is as well. She's with Big Bill. He wants to be a part. He once again states how he wants to be a part of Jericho's learning tree because he wants to be with Jericho for guidance. Jericho interrupts and accepts Big Bill being into the learning tree. Jericho's playing the narcissistic character here. He's playing the delusional character of the fans still love me, but everybody fucking hates him. It's something I'm sure might grow on me. I don't know though. I'm not overly keen. I'm more keen to see Jericho just leave for a little bit and give us chance to miss him. We then get a backstage segment with Swerve, who talks to Christian and says that the reason Christian teamed with him at All In was because he knew exactly what Swerve was like, and that he's going to come to Dynamite and they're going to have a chat. Like him and Christian are going to have a chat, but Swerve is not coming alone. So clearly Swerve's got backup. Who it's going to be, I don't know, but we'll see. I guess we'll see. We then go to Kyle O'Reilly versus Rocky Romero. Kyle ends up winning this match via pinfall. Really solid match, great wrestling, solid wrestling match. Kyle O'Reilly definitely can go in that ring, and I look forward to seeing what he can do in the future. After that match, we have Saraya and Harley Cameron backstage. Harley challenges Mariah May for or who she now calls Tiny Tony, for a match on Dynamite. And then Saraya turns around and says to Tony, "Don't worry about telling us to get our tits out. We've already got that covered." We then go to Roderick Strong calling himself the Messiah of the Backbreaker, and that Ospreay needs to basically respect him, and that he needs, and that's look. You don't need these two to talk. You don't need Roderick Strong to talk. You don't need Will Ospreay to talk. Just put the two in the ring together, and they're going to give you every reason to watch it. If you thought that, like, Danielson versus Ospreay was amazing, Roderick Strong versus Ospreay is going to be amazing. anytime Osprey steps in those ropes, he has a fantastic match, and it just seems to get better and better every single week. I look forward to seeing that match at Double or Nothing for the for the international title, and I think it's going to be once again a match that steals the show. Um, we then go to the main event of the night, which was Sky Blue versus Willow in what is now being titled a Manitoba Massacre match, which is a no DQ match. They fight into the crowd for a bit. Um, Sky Blue ends up taking a fisherman's bomb from the ropes into some thumbtacks. And then Sky Blue also introduces a barbed wire board, which ends up on a table. Willow hits the Babe with the power bomb through the barbed wire board and ends up pinning Sky Blue to retain her TBS championship. Rampage expected matches, expected sort of way it played out. Not super exciting, but it was still good for what it was. Dynamite, I think they did really well with playing back to the segments being connected. I think that this is a strong point for AEW. They have segments that are connected that doesn't always connect, like doesn't always go one after the other, but they get connected in some way throughout the show. And I think they did that again this week. They've done really strong with connecting to last week's ending where Tony Khan gets attacked, to the attack on Kenny Omega, to the attack on Swerve Strickland, and to the EVPs basically abusing their power. I think that we have set up we're setting up a strong faction in regards to the Elite with Jack Perry. I think that we're going to see some big things coming out of this. I look forward to where we're going with it. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys think I'm wrong, feel free to tell me. But I think that we're going to get some really, really good matches, and AEW is starting to get back on track in regards to where they're going with their stories. People often say that AEW doesn't have stories, but they're wrong. AEW has stories they connect. They don't always link up on the same show, but there's stories told throughout the history of the company and throughout the history of the wrestlers working in other promotions. You may have stories from when Red Dragon existed. You may have stories like Kenny and Okada, their history, Osprey, and all that sort of stuff. But the stories are there, and now they're showcasing the story of the Bucks, and I think it's working really, really well. Other than that, I rated the Dynamite episode probably about a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10 this week. It was good to see Kenny back. I think that we're definitely getting a strong sense of where they're building to for the pay-per-view. I think we're going to start to see a bit more interest shown in the company again, because they are going back to that style that AEW had before, where they are the alternative, they're not the same. They're not the same as WWE. They are the alternative to WWE, and they always have been. And that's what people seem to forget. People want them to have that WWE influence of give us dumbed down stories and a lot of talking, because that's what we need and that's what we've been conditioned to. But that's not what AEW was founded on. AEW was founded on pure wrestling, and it was based on talent coming from Japan and Ring of Honor and other companies who were sick of WWE having a stranglehold on what was classed as good wrestling in the United States. Because for years you've had WWE at the top and the only company to exist. Now you've got, when I say that, I'm not forgetting about TNA. I'm saying that they have been at the top, and they've been the top team or the top company for many, many years. TNA tried unsuccessfully to get anywhere near there. ROH was never going to get to that level. They had the talent, but they were never going to get up there production-wise or anything like that. It wasn't until All In that things got taken seriously, and that's where pretty much AEW was created, and people saw we saw a need for what was happening in American wrestling. They saw a need to fill the gap of people want good quality pro wrestling that is done by talent who can actually move and don't have to be restricted to a 5 moves of doom, or a story that is so convoluted that it doesn't make any fucking sense, um, or something that has the same 3 people repeating for titles on the next 6 pay-per-views. They're doing things. AEW has always been about doing things different to what WWE did. Not the same, not give you the same sort of match every single week. They've always been about, let's give the fans something different to watch. We're not going to give you, okay, you've got Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland in a pay-per-view match for the world title. We're not going to give you 6 different variations of that match with 13 different tag partners and across your weekly show. We're going to get Swerve fighting his way through, or Joe defending his title, not necessarily gonna lose, but defending his title. And you're gonna see them, the 2 top contenders, interact, but you're not really going to see them one-on-one or in a tag match directly before. Yes, I know they have done it. Don't come at me with the, oh, but AEW has done it before, because I've fucking watched it. I know, and I called it out when it happened. I don't agree with, if you've got a match at a pay-per-view, you put a tag match together to have, like, especially right before the pay-per-view, where you're going to have the 2 or all 4 guys are going to end up facing off with each other at the pay-per-view. I hate that shit. I hated it when WCW did it. I hated it when WWE have done it. And I hated it when AEW does it. I hate it. But 99% of the time, AEW keeps they don't keep people away from each other, but they keep them away from each other in regards to wrestling in the ring. Like, they keep away from each other in regards to matches, rather than the feud keeping them away. They'll actually keep them away from each other in regards to wrestling the matches. And it's fantastic, because it gives you that opportunity to develop the person, not just inside the feud. Like, you could have Swerve Strickland being red hot just inside the feud, but he wasn't. He was red hot before that feud. He was red hot when he was taking on Hangman. He was hot even before he got Hangman. And he's built up everyone, I apologize. I was not frozen. I unfortunately lost connection. I had a bit of internet issues. I do apologize for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the stream here anyway. I do appreciate everyone who came in to watch the show and who came along tonight for while I did this solo. It really is appreciated. I will see you again in the near future. Take care, my friends.
Okay, thanks for watching this presentation. Like, share, and subscribe for more.